Hey guys, this is Mike from Grayman Knives, and I hope this video is finding you in good health and good spirits. Today I wanted to show you how to sharpen a knife on a coffee cup, in case that's something that you haven't done before. And it's a pretty simple procedure, but sometimes there may be a situation when you're out in the field and maybe you have a coffee cup or something similar that you can sharpen your knife off of, something similar that's ceramic, and maybe this will come in handy. If not, then just chalk it up to maybe just a knife interest video, I guess. Okay, first thing is that I've got a cup here from Rivers of the World, from row.org. And they're very, very good friends of ours. So I put this cup in here deliberately to remind me to mention them to you, especially at this time of year during December. You may find yourself with a little bit of extra money that you're wondering who would be worthwhile to send that off to. And Rivers of the World does some incredible things all over the world, spreading the gospel to people who need it the most, and also doing an awful lot to help people. They come basically down the bigger rivers of the world where people are often neglected, and essentially come into a town and say, your problems are our problems. What do you need? What can we do for you? And that may mean building them a hospital or setting them up with a business so that the women of the village can sew and help bring in much needed income, doing all sorts of great things like that, helping them with hygiene issues and so on and so forth. So they're really incredible people, and once again they're at row.org. That's ROW.org. So check them out if you have time. And if you don't have money to buy a knife for Christmas, sending a little bit of money to row.org would do wonderful things. So I guess that's about it for them. Now back to sharpening on a coffee cup. I chose two different knives here. One are Sub-Saharan 7, and the other, of course, the Grayman Duo, basically because we have a chisel ground knife here, and I wanted to show you how you sharpen those. And then also we have, of course, a Duo has a double bevel grind, so that'll be something that will, apply to the vast majority of knives, of course. All right, so let's start with a Sub-Saharan here, Sub-Saharan 7. And I put a nice wide bevel, typically when I sharpen like this. Now this is one of our beater knives. This is actually a test knife, but I like to put a wide bevel on here for you so that it's easier for you to sharpen it in the field. Basically, the more flat area you have like that, the easier you're going to find it'll be. When you use a coffee cup to do the sharpening, go ahead and use the bottom here. You don't really want to be slicing, going along the rim. And also, of course, your cup typically is a good deal more stable this way. It's important also, here I'm going to move the Duo for a minute, move that down and then creep up here. All right, also the one thing that's important to know is that the bottom of a coffee cup very often doesn't have any glaze on it. Now this one does, but a lot of times you don't have any glaze until you lap right on the edge. And the edge here is really the best place to use. If there isn't any glaze here on the bottom, you can also use that area for kind of for rough grinding if you're really trying to sort of hog off a lot before you start. Sometimes you have to be pretty patient depending on how much sharpening you have to do. Needless to say, the more often you sharpen, especially sharpen correctly, the less that you'll have to take away, and essentially the longer your edge lasts. So what you want to do is go ahead and set it. Don't worry much about the flat side on a chisel grind, because essentially all you're going to do is you're going to sharpen this until you have a little bit of a burr on the edge here that you can feel on this side. And then when you do, you can take one or two quick passes and clean that up, and then basically just strop the knife from there, and then to get your good edge. So we've got a knife that's pretty pretty dull, pretty boogered up, but let's see what we'll do. Another thing that's important is don't bear down too hard. One of the things that a lot of times people, are trying to save time, and so they'll have a tendency to push down hard, and that's where accidents happen. We don't want you to lose a finger just over, doing some type of exotic sharpening technique. So essentially just a small amount of pressure as you go across like so. And you'll notice that I'm pushing it away from me. Now, whenever you have a recurve, something that's important to know is that as you're moving up on the recurve like this, if you're just coming straight down, you're going to move into the edge and you'll have a tendency to roll it. So you want to move away from it. The other advantage too is that having this kind of a lot of people sharpen, toward the edge, and the whole idea behind that is not to get a burr. But for a working edge that you're going to use out in the world, you can still get a knife shaving sharp. We send all of ours out shaving sharp, but also with that toothy edge, with a little bit of tooth in it. And essentially that does, it's sort of the same idea behind serrations. It has a grab to it, and it makes it a lot easier to cut a lot of things, from rubber hose to hemp rope to, actually skinning flesh, everything pretty much. Whenever you're doing a draw cut, you'll do a whole lot better job. So anyway, we want to move away like so. Keep it nice and steady. Be sure not to tilt it into yourself too much. And by that I mean don't tilt too much this way. Make sure you're laying flat on along your edge like so. And the reason for that, of course, is you don't want to roll that edge out. Be pushing out a little bit. And you notice it's real common to leave a little bit of a mark there. That's another reason you don't want to do it on the rim of your cup. Your wife sees you're destroying her coffee cups while you're practicing this, and she'll be less than enamored with you in all likelihood, right? Okay. So that kind of a stroke gives you just about what you want. Okay. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, we're starting to get we're already getting a burr here. This wasn't a completely thrashed edge. This thing's just been just a little beat up. Okay. Now, if you have any kind of a doubt about whether or not you're laying flat on this edge here, you can take a magic marker, and I don't have one handy. I sure should have thought of that. But you can take a magic marker and mark along this area, just blacken it out, and then you'll start to see as you're wearing this away where you're making impact. Now, when you do hit it with a magic marker, make sure that it dries a little bit, because you're already going to disfigure your cup a little bit, and you don't want smear all over the place. Don't want smear. Okay. Yeah, all right, not bad. Okay, next step. Take an area, make sure that it is glazed completely. And you just want to take a couple of passes on the back here. All right. Bring that burr up. Okay, your last, I'm going to take the cup away because you're done with that. Last thing you want to do is strop this bad boy. So we'll see how this works. I'm going to stick my foot up on the table here, so give me just a second. All right. Now, if you've got a rough out type of a boot, suede or a desert type boot, then it will work a lot better. If you've spooned it flat, and if you do that, you'll know what I'm talking about there, then it'll still work, but you can't do a little marking up. Now, one thing to remember here is that you don't want to drag this across, and again, drag it straight like this. Now, instead of rolling an edge here, what you're going to do is you'll cut into your boot, and especially if you put a lot of beef into this, you're going to really regret that. So what you're really doing is moving like so. And as you can see, these boots are filthy, of course. Strop one side and strop the other. Try and keep my fingers out of the way so that you guys can see. End up, finish up on the back side. Get your dang foot off the table. And then, let's see how we did here. Okay, not bad for the time we had there. Yeah, we're in good shape there. So anyway, that is how you sharpen a single bevel. And I took a little more time on that than I really had planned to. So essentially, the only difference when you're doing a double bevel, okay, is that you don't want to, instead of going all the way to a burr on one side, you don't want to do more than 4 or 5 strokes going one direction. And you want to head in the other direction. I should have some music, shouldn't I? This grinding sound probably sounds like a baby crying to you guys on the video. All right, let me strop it real quick here. Again, with a double bevel, strop both sides equally. Move away from. Okay. Let's see how we did here. We didn't have a lot of time on this bad boy, but yeah. There we go. Not bad. Okay. And the biggest danger that you have, well, obviously, other than horsing down on this thing and cutting your finger off, the biggest danger that you have is putting too much pressure, moving up, and then rolling your edge. So just make sure that you keep yourself flat. Don't put too much strength, too much pressure into it, and you should be good to go, mofos. All right. So hope that was helpful, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye for now.